In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Since the 1980s, a secret space fleet codenamed Solar Warden has been in operation unknown to the public. The fleet of 8 aircraft carrier-sized motherships and its 43 scout ships supposedly patrol and defend the Earth's orbit. How do we know this? Well, between February 2001 and March 2002, Gary McKinnon found a document entitled Non-Terrestrial Officers on the U.S. Department of Defense computer that was linked to Solar Warden. But who is Gary McKinnon? And what other information did this document contain? And is there other proof of the existence of Solar Warden? Let's try and find out. Hello, I'm Mike Droberg, a Marine Corps veteran and filmmaker, and we will try to answer these questions on today's episode of Forgotten History. Gary McKinnon, born on 10 February 1966, is a Scottish UFO enthusiast, systems administrator, and hacker. He was accused in 2002 of perpetrating the biggest military computer hack of all time. However, McKinnon himself stated that he was merely looking for evidence of free energy suppression and a cover-up of UFO activity and other technologies potentially useful to the public. But what he found was so shocking, it sounded more like something right out of a blockbuster Hollywood sci-fi movie. Gary McKinnon found a file labeled Non-Terrestrial Officers, and when he opened it, it contained a list of names of personnel which had fleet-to-fleet transfers, all contained under a secret program called Solar Warden. But how did he do it? Well, he was able to access these top-secret documents through a program called Land Search, which, after having gained control over the domain, he had the ability to search all files and all folders on every machine. He ran this program for a year and found hundreds of unsecured government computers. Most of the stuff he found was uneventful and pretty boring. Staff reports, department memos, and other boilerplate information. But then he found the spreadsheet that caught his eye, the one labeled Non-Terrestrial Officers. This meant the officers were serving someplace other than Earth. But how is this possible? McKinnon also found out about the ships or craft within Solar Warden. It said that there was approximately 8 cigar-shaped motherships, each longer than 2 football fields end to end, and 43 small scout ships. The Solar Warden Space Fleet operated at that time under the U.S. Naval Network and Space Operations Command. Solar Warden is said to be made up of U.S. Black Project contractors, but with also some contributions by Canada, the United Kingdom, Italy, Austria, Russia, and Australia. It is said that the program is tested and operated from secret military bases, such as Area 51. One day Gary was remotely viewing documents and pictures on a NASA computer when all of a sudden the mouse began to move on the computer screen, and he wasn't the one moving it. Then the computer was quickly disconnected from the network. The government was onto him. U.S. officials quickly pressured the UK to track him down, and Gary was arrested in 2002 and was subject to a lengthy legal quarrel concerning his extradition to the U.S., where prosecutors want him to stand trial for 96 counts of data breaches and over $800,000 worth of damage to the U.S. government. He stood to face a possible prison time of up to 70 years after extradition from the UK, but trying McKinnon in open court would involve his testifying to the above classified facts, and his attorney would be able to subpoena the government officers to testify under oath about the Navy's space fleet, and I don't think the U.S. government really wanted that. In 2012, Theresa May, the UK's Home Secretary, said that he would not be sent to the U.S., justifying this decision on human rights grounds. She said at the time, Mr. McKinnon is accused of serious crimes. but there is no doubt that he is seriously ill. He has Asperger's syndrome and suffers from depressive illness. The legal question before me is now whether the extent of that illness is sufficient to preclude extradition, and after careful consideration of all relevant material, Theresa May concluded that McKinnon's extradition would give rise to such a high risk of him ending his life that a decision to extradite would be incompatible with Mr. McKinnon's human rights. Luckily for McKinnon, to this date, his extradition to the U.S. has gone nowhere. So besides Gary McKinnon's testimony, what other evidence do we have of Solar Warden? Well, Solar Warden allegedly came from Ronald Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative, nicknamed Star Wars by the media. This program was designed to deter unauthorized alien threats. President Reagan himself alluded to this in his speech to the UN, which we played in the beginning of this video. Also, in 2007, the Reagan Diaries was published. Reagan jotted down his thoughts on an almost daily basis, and on page 334, dated 11th June 1985, President Reagan made the following entry. Lunch with 5 top space scientists. It was fascinating. Space truly is the last frontier, and some of the developments there in astronomy, etc., are like science fiction, except they are real. I learned that our shuttle capacity is such that we could orbit 300 people. 300 people? What shuttle is he talking about? If you know anything about our space program, you'd know that the maximum capacity of a NASA space shuttle is 8 people, and we only had 4 shuttles in operation at the time, so that meant only a maximum of 32 people could be in space. So maybe he was indeed talking about Solar Warden. Then later in 2007, an amateur British astronomer named John Leonard Walson discovered through his re-engineering of telescopes and video cameras an entirely new way to look at the stars, and he had proof of Solar Warden. His filming style allowed him to peer into complete darkness and see things the human eye and civilian telescopes couldn't. Walson uses 4 spectrums: infrared, night vision, thermal, and ultraviolet, and takes a picture of the object with all 4 spectrums. Then he combines the pictures in a process called luminance layering. With this technique, he has discovered anomalies on the moon and other planets. Then when he started filming stars, things really got strange. These videos are purported to be the crafts of Solar Warden. Not long after releasing these videos and photos, he was visited by the infamous black helicopters flying very close to his house. Why would the government try to intimidate John if this was all a hoax? Finally, in 2019, President Trump signed into law legislation creating the first new armed service branch since 1947, the U.S. Space Force.
My administration is reclaiming America's heritage as the world's greatest spacefaring nation. The essence of the American character is to explore new horizons and to tame new frontiers. But our destiny beyond the Earth is not only a matter of national identity, but a matter of national security. So important for our military, so important, and people don't talk about it. When it comes to defending America, it is not enough to merely have an American presence in space. We must have American dominance in space. So important. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the 6th branch of the armed forces. That's a big statement.
Was President Trump trying to let the cat out of the bag? So, is there enough evidence for Solar Warden? Is the recent DoD flurry of releases of unidentified aerial phenomena being done for a nefarious reason? Is there really an alien threat, or is it just a way to help usher in the New World Order, as some suggest? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to know your thoughts on Solar Warden, and if you have more information about Solar Warden, let us know. Thank you for watching Forgotten History. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any comments or show ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Thanks again.